The first thing I want to say is that Caribbean women have always been involved in agriculture. Whether we take the indigenous Taino women who were the farmers on the Canucas, whether we look at colonization from 1494 with the Spanish and 1655 with the British, because as they drew off indigenous and enslaved African men to do military, hunting, and construction work, the responsibility for agriculture became women's responsibility, maintaining the colonists themselves as well as sustaining the livelihoods of the African and indigenous women. In the period of enslavement, 1655 to 1838, the bulk of labor, the plantations were located in the rural areas. The majority of plantation workers were female. Whether we're talking about sugar plantations, coffee farms, or livestock farms, or atos, called pens in Jamaica. So men did some agriculture, but they were drawn off for managerial and management and administrative work, couriers, and so on. So that from the period of enslavement, we had a gender hierarchy and an absence of gender justice in the case of women farmers. However, women were able to carve out an economic niche for themselves, even within the system of enslavement. The law allowed for provision farming. It allowed women to get access to land, customary use of land. And so they were able, through the provision farming in the informal sector, to farm out some economic autonomy. They dominated the markets. And so, because they were primarily in charge of their households from the period of enslavement, rural women have been very critical to farming and agriculture in Jamaica. Now, 3 other points before I end. With emancipation in 1838, we had an increase in gender injustice in agriculture in the Caribbean, as women became increasingly alienated from the land as owners. Planters took away land in the aftermath of emancipation, imposed high rents and taxes, increased the cost of land for those who wanted to buy land. And so this continued the marginalization of women from the land. However, women voted with their feet because the planters were trying to tie them to plantation labor. To get access to land, they had to be plantation workers, and women said no. So they tried to use house plots, back gardens, and they went to the missionary villages, free villages, and so they tried to get access to land. But of course, the wage policies, those of them who were forced sometimes back to the plantation, the gender discriminatory wage policies would have further alienated them from the land. So, despite their long history of rural farming, there has never been gender justice in Jamaican agriculture. Women own far fewer acreages than men. They earn less from farming, but they need to use the income generated to support their families in what we know are many female-headed households in Jamaica. In fact, I think over 40% of households are headed by women. Women smallholders frequently lack access to services and control over resources, which does not translate into positive or equitable outcomes for women. By acting collectively in agricultural markets, women may enhance their asset base and livelihoods, pool resources to reduce costs and risks, increase access to wider markets, new technologies and services, and enhance negotiating power. So the Institute for Gender and Development Studies hopes to be able to contribute to the project of economically empowering women in rural communities, working with the stakeholders. Our work plan is in, we have our project set up, and we look forward to working with you. My colleague Susan Charles is there. And we will do what we can to enhance this process. Thank you.